What is going on, everyone? How would you feel if the Houston Texans passed on C.J. Stroud or any other QB for that matter and drafted Will Anderson Jr. with the second overall pick in this year's draft? Now, this isn't just a random, question thrown out there. Locked On Texans podcast do an absolute fantastic job of covering this team. Cody M. Davis and John Hickman, they also do a great job of covering for Texans Daily. Make sure you guys tap in whenever they drop content. But this is from Cody Davis himself. The Houston Texans are 2 weeks away from the 2023 NFL Draft, and after months of speculation, it appears that the Texans might divert from the idea of selecting quarterback C.J. Stroud if the Carolina Panthers draft Bryce Young with the top overall pick. Amid questions about whether the Texans are sold on Stroud, a source tells Texans Daily that coach Demeco Ryans is leaning heavily towards drafting Alabama Will Anderson Jr. with the number 2 overall pick. This is coming from potentially head coach Demeco Ryans, right? The guy that you gave the keys to the kingdom to. And what kind of I have questions about is not too long ago when the Houston Texans were interviewing these potential candidates, it was Demeco, Shane Steichman, Jonathan Gannon, Ejo Evero, Ben Johnson, right? It was the play at 2 is a quarterback. So what changed over that time? Well, I think what changed was that Bryce Young just clearly became the number 1 quarterback in this draft. Over the past 2 weeks, it has just been clear that the Carolina Panthers will be selecting Bryce Young with that pick. If you see who he follows on Instagram, it is nothing but Carolina Panthers players. Josh McCown, he only follows Bryce Young. It is so crazy how social media gives us kind of insights on what is going to happen. So I think over the course of that, and when you hear stuff like these S2 cognition tests that these quarterbacks have taken, and when you hear that C.J. Stroud didn't do very good, and you hear that the Houston Texans value, this test, maybe that is one of the reasons why they don't like him at 2. But what that means for this franchise, if they do not select a quarterback, you could already know the immediate reaction would be, what the hell are the Houston Texans doing? I already see the tweets from numerous amount of fans. If they pass on C.J. Stroud, some of them are not even going to watch this team anymore. It is kind of like they are expecting, and if they had their chance, forcing the Houston Texans to take a quarterback at 2. Me, myself, if you don't like the guy, don't draft him. I don't want to, tie my franchise to someone who maybe my team isn't even sold on. Now, I'm not saying C.J. Stroud is going to be a bust or isn't going to be good. I think he could potentially be a franchise quarterback. But if there are some people in the franchise who maybe think that he's not the selection, well, we have to listen to that. We have to then explore every other option. That's why maybe Will Anderson at 2. That's why we also heard names of Anthony Richardson and now Will Levis. No one knows what is going on in that Houston Texans war room. And when you hear stuff like about the potentialness of passing on a QB, it does kind of alarm you as a fan, right? We know this rebuild needed to start with a head coach who we trust in, which we do. We trust Demeco Ryans, and a QB who we could get behind. Now, if you don't draft a QB at 2, who are you going to get behind, right? Because even if it's C.J. Stroud, I am going to be excited for. Like I said, I think C.J. Stroud could be a very good QB. But if the Houston Texans, don't think that it's not him, then, then don't pull the trigger. Let's be smart here. This is business at the end of the day. And at pick 2, it is going to determine the fate of this franchise for the next 15 years. This pick is so important. I like how it's not just C.J. Stroud, right? And like just because Bryce Young is a selection. I also like how they are exploring other options. What is going on? We also know that Nick Caserio is talking tomorrow on Sports Radio 610. We're going to react to that as soon as it's done. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about the possibility of the Houston Texans passing on a QB at 2. Go Houston Texans. You guys have a very blessed day.